comes and goes in the blink of an eye. Soon as I swear you've been.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Megan and we are just about at Key Largo, and this video is all about how to actually travel with a baby, what it looks like. I've done a previous video on getting ready to travel, so the packing and all of that, so if you haven't seen that, check that out. But in this one, it's going to be the actual trip, and as you can see already from the background, this girl's been in the car for, I don't know, how long has it been, Andrew? This girl has been in the car for about 8 hours, and honestly, she has been quite a trooper. I have a 13-month-old, and she did really good. I ChatGPT'd before going kind of how to handle the car ride. I had a toy car rotation bag. That was helpful, so instead of giving them all their toys at once, you kind of rotate through them. We also brought lots of snacks. We didn't have to play music too much other than when we tried to get her to nap. That was the hardest part of the travel day so far. She's not a good car napper. She gets about 30 minutes and then can't sleep after that. And recently we were just driving through the Everglades. So many bumps, and she woke up at every single bump. So that part was a little bit hard. I'm gonna see if I can get her to sleep once we land at our Airbnb. But other than that, she's done really well. And if you want to know what it actually looks like to travel with a baby, keep watching. Okay, we just got here, and this is a reality of what the car looks like. We have the puffs. If you need something to tie over your kid, I don't recommend this on a day-to-day, but she loves these. We have some toys, books. That's a real winner for this age. Flipping through a cooler where I put her milk and things, and then just lots of things crammed. Good morning and welcome to day 2 of our trip, and I just wanted to recap some more of the realities that happened yesterday. So after a long travel day, Isabel had 2 short naps, maybe about 40 minutes each, and I thought she was probably going to want to crash early, maybe nurse for a while. When we came home, she hadn't nursed much throughout the day or take a nap so she could stay up later, but no, she was running on adrenaline and was hyper for the next 3 hours maybe. She did nap close to when we arrived, but they weren't very good enough, so I thought maybe she would nap more. And then she crashed so hard that she lied down on the floor to take a nap. And so I brought her to bed, and then our smoke alarms ended up going off for quite a long time. She slept through the entire thing, which is so unlike her, but that's just how tired she was from the day. So we ended up having her go down about 8 p.m. But another reality of traveling with the baby, we set up the pack and play. We even got a mattress, although something about the mattress to note, we have sheets and a mattress pad, but they only fit the actual pack and play mattress, not this extra pad. So I think you need to get additional sheets if you use this. But she was in that for about an hour, and then she was done because she's like, where am I? What is this bed? And that's very typical when you travel with a baby. If they're not used to sleeping in a pack and play or not used to the space that they're in, even if you try to replicate it, we had the white noise machine, we did her bedtime routine. It's hard for them to feel comfortable unless you have a really good sleeper, and Isabella is not the best sleeper, but I know that that's common for traveling as well. Now another thing is, because we got in late, we didn't have dinner ready before her bedtime, and so she ended up not eating dinner. I gave her some applesauce as a little snack and then just nursed her, but she wasn't able to have all 3 of her solid meals yesterday. And this morning she did have a little bit of constipation just from being on the road, eating chicken nuggets for lunch, eating things that are not in her normal diet. And she was able to move and go poop this morning, but I could tell that it was more difficult for her. And so that's something to note too, if they're eating foods that are not part of their normal day-to-day diet, that could affect digestion and going to the bathroom. Lastly, for the updates so far, right now some of our family's out going fishing on the boat, and later this afternoon they're going snorkeling, but I'm gonna be home with this one because she cannot be on a boat all day. She has naps to take. She would not do well in that environment, and so sometimes you do have to kind of plan and schedule things outside of what the normal activities for the day are, because your baby just can't handle that right now. It's 1 p.m. and I wanted to check in because Isabella just woke up from her first nap, and I wanted to kind of touch how we're doing naps and stuff. So since I stayed home today and didn't go on the boat, I just was doing it how I normally do, going off of her sleepy cues and wake windows. She started getting tired around 3 hours, and I'm just trying to replicate naps as much as I can as we do at home. So I did the same routine. I did her diaper, put her clothes on for the day, because I usually will have her in a diaper for breakfast because she makes such a mess. Put her clothes on, brush her teeth, do her lotion for her eczema, and then read a book. I brought our sound machine. We use the Hatch sound machine, so I put on the sound machine and I nurse, and that's kind of a routine, and that has been working really well when we're on the go. And I tried to replicate it in the car too. Now, she did hit a nap yesterday when I wasn't able to nurse her because we were in the Everglades and there was nowhere to pull over, and she did get fussy. She was pulling at my chest, but I did bring milk. We brought a small cooler, which if your baby is drinking milk, I highly recommend, or solids in general, so you can put refrigerated items in there. So she didn't want the milk at first, but eventually she drank the milk and was able to get satisfied from that until I could pull over and nurse her. So that is a little trick, but even in the car, I was reading her book and trying to keep it as routine as possible to help for going down. The other thing I want to touch on is meals. So because I'm kind of following Isabella's schedule and we're on a family trip and it's not just us, you do kind of have to eat your meals at your own time. I had to eat dinner last night after she went down, and my husband ate, and then we rotated. He came in with her and I ate dinner. And then this morning they did breakfast before the boat. We were still in bed. Isabella actually slept in, which she never does, but she slept until 8 this morning. She was very tired from the car trip yesterday. So then we just had breakfast when we got up, and that's been working well. They had lunch while she was down for her nap, so now I'm gonna go eat my lunch. That is the background of our house. It is so nice, right on the ocean. We're gonna go on, whoa, a very cracked porch board. All right, I'm walking in the backyard of our Airbnb. It goes right out to the ocean, as you can see, and I'm just gonna explore a little bit. People are still out on the boat fishing, and Isabella hates her sun hat. Another reality of traveling. Gotta put lots of sunscreen on, which they're gonna try to eat the whole time, and they're probably gonna rebel their sun hats and sunglasses. Also, we saw a ton of iguanas out here, like 4 at a time, changing colors, turning green. It was so cool.
It comes and goes in the blink of an eye.
Spoiler, it is not a walking trail. It just goes out to this dock and the ocean, and that's it.
So bright. Wish I could keep you in black and white.
It is the next day. We didn't do too much yesterday, just hung out. Now it is 3:30 and we're just making our way outside of the house. That's what happens when you have 2 babies on different nap schedules. This is the time we were able to get up, and we're gonna go walk a trail at the state park here and see some animals. So we went on a little hiking trail. It was very, very short, like 1/3 of a mile, and it was so buggy. And we prepared for this because of the climate that we're in. So we had bought baby-friendly bug spray that was not only DEET-free, but Isabella has really bad eczema, and so it only used essential oils that wouldn't affect eczema skin. And so we were able to spray that on her, and then we brought bug spray for us. So that's something that if you're in a tropical climate, make sure you have something for your baby, but they can't have it under 6 months old. So I'd probably skip an activity like that if your baby is under 6 months, but if they're over that, just make sure it's baby friendly. It's also very hot, so we had to take a few nursing breaks in the car. We do have water for her, but a lot of times she just wants my milk and she doesn't want water. So just make sure you're fully stocked if you're gonna do something like that. And then we came back to hit her second nap, and now I think we're gonna go for dinner for the night. It is the next day. As you can see, we are in the Everglades. Isabella's all happy because she just took a nap. I just wanted to touch base on naps. So if you have a baby and you think that their napping is just too off, they need all the things, they need the blackout curtains and the noise machine and the perfect environment, or they won't nap, I just want to tell you, Isabella used to be like this. I felt like I couldn't go anywhere because she would not nap. The more you do it, the better it does get. I didn't travel for the longest time. We're on the road now. because I felt like she would not nap if we were on the road, and she truly didn't. She would stay up for hours and hours and hours, but she has hit a point. So before, we've done a couple of trips recently. We went to Vermont a couple weeks ago, and then this trip. Before going to Vermont, she only napped about 15 minutes in the car. Then in Vermont, she was able to get up to about 35 to 40 minutes because she just kind of had to. We were on the go a lot and she didn't really have a choice. And now she just took an hour and 11-minute nap, which for her, she has never gone that long in the car, ever. And so I just wanted to say, if you feel like you can't go anywhere because your baby is a bad napper, I truly do think the more you do it, especially if you're out like all day and they have to do it, they have no choice, they will eventually start sleeping. It also might be an age thing, maybe because she's now around a year, she's 13 months now, they just get better at it. But just know it does get better. Another note that I wanted to touch on were baths. So sometimes it can be hard to bath when you're on the go because your baby gets off routine. She's been sleeping in a lot more. She's been going to bed a lot later. Her wake windows are just all over the place. And so at nighttime, they're very fussy and want to go down, and it can be hard to do a bath. Also, like our Airbnb, it felt kind of dirty. I didn't really want to put her in the bathtub. But if you bring a washcloth and you bring their soap, you can at least sponge them down so that you can still clean them while you're on the go.
You might wake up one day having fought for things you don't need. Spend your whole life in vain. Was it worth the pain you're holding? You've been dreaming all day, trying to fix what's hopeless.
We just walked through the Everglades, and it just reminds me, if you have a baby, I would not plan to be outside for a very long time with that baby because they don't do very well with the heat. Yesterday we walked like 0.3 miles and Isabella had a hard time with that, and today we probably walked maybe 15 to 30 minutes total outside, and she had a really hard time with that. Even though I nursed before and after, we brought water and she drank maybe 60% of her water bottle. We had sunscreen, all the things. They just don't do that well in the heat. So if you do want to do something like a hike, maybe do it first thing in the morning or closer to sunset when it's not as hot outside, or just maybe don't do that until your baby gets a little older and does better outside. And the other thing too is, don't plan any vacation for your baby to see something, because the most interesting thing that she saw on that walk was another family. She's not interested in the alligators or the wildlife. They're really just not able to absorb those kind of things as a baby. So if you do go somewhere and you are vacationing, do something that you want to enjoy. Don't do it for the baby. Wait until they're older. Okay, I totally forgot until my husband just reminded me that we have a portable fan that we brought that we've never used actually. So you can try that. We're going boating tomorrow, so I'll let you know if that was helpful or not. I just put it on her in the car seat and she seemed to like it, so that could help with the heat problem. Something else, we brought a ton of snacks. If your baby is able to eat solids, definitely make sure you have a bunch of snack options, but also bring something to wipe them. Like I just tried to give her some applesauce and it went everywhere. So I brought a couple of washcloths so that I can clean up. So that's a good option to have if you're driving or on the plane.
I don't wanna call you later. You're tearing my heart up like it's paper, and somehow you turn to a stranger. We used to work, now I'm trying to make sure that we're both on the same page. I don't want it to complicate. I know you're riding away.
It is the next day. We had our boat day earlier this morning, and I can confirm that that fan was a lifesaver. So if you are going to do an outdoor adventure with your baby in the heat, definitely get a portable fan. It really helped, and she actually ended up falling asleep on the boat, which if you told me that my baby would fall asleep on a boat with us going fast in a bunch of waves and just in that environment, I would have never believed you. She has struggled to sleep for so long, but that just goes to show you that with time and practice, they really can get better, and it's usually nothing that you do. It just happens naturally on its own. So she did fall asleep for about 20 minutes. Looks like it's gonna thunder if you can hear that. We'll probably have to head inside soon. We're on the patio outside our house. Because she fell asleep for a little bit, she woke up when we came back to the dock and was very fussy, and it took me about 45 minutes to get her back down. And then she fell asleep for 2.5 hours. So if you're worried because you feel like their naps are getting off, they eventually do make up the sleep that they need. I used to worry about this a lot and be very, very consumed by this, but they do typically end up getting the sleep that they need. And it's been really good. I just was hanging out with her for a few hours while she napped. Now we're outside until it starts raining and we get kicked out. Also, I wanted to mention, sometimes it can be harder on family trips and sometimes it can be easier depending on the type of baby you have and what schedules you have. But I've done some traveling with her where there's really no agenda other than our agenda, and that makes it a lot easier to travel because you can plan everything that needs to be done around your baby's specific sleep and activity schedule. Whereas when you have multiple babies and multiple agendas, it can be harder, and you know, we've been mostly doing like one thing a day. That's really all we can fit into her schedule. But if your baby is good with other people, then it could be easier because then you can just hand them off to someone to watch them while you go and do something. So it really just depends on what kind of baby you have and what your schedule is, but something to know as well. And just like that, we are home and now in the process of unpacking. I just wanted to touch on a couple last things from our road trip home. So first, I wanted to mention a high chair. Our high chair does not collapse, and if you're gonna be traveling in the car, I really, really recommend to get a foldable high chair because it makes packing your bag so difficult when it doesn't fold, and my husband had to really play chess back there to get everything to fit, or whatever the word is. It was a puzzle. That's what I was thinking of. It was a puzzle trying to get it all to fit with the high chair. So I really recommend, if you're gonna be doing a road trip, get a foldable high chair. Now, our daughter really struggled in the car today, which she did so good this whole trip. So I'm sure she was really tired from the week, but today she was having a really hard time taking her naps. And I just wanted to mention some things that we did to help her with this. So for her first nap, I actually ended up giving her my chapstick, and she kind of used it like a pacifier and was sucking on it, and it helped her fall asleep. Our daughter's not really a pacifier baby. She's never been into them, but she does typically nurse to sleep. And I think that sucking motion helped her to calm down and go to sleep because she was quite worked up. Obviously supervised. I sit in the back next to her so I could check to make sure like the cap wasn't loose, it wasn't gonna fall off or anything. So make sure it's safe. But if they are a pacifier baby, that or just some sort of sucking motion might help them calm down if they're having a hard time or they're a baby that typically nurses to sleep. Then her second nap, she really struggled. And the first thing we did that helped was actually roll down the windows. We think that she might get car sick. She's shown us some inklings on road trips before that she might be getting car sick. And so as soon as we rolled the windows down, she fell asleep within maybe a minute or two, and she had been really worked up. But then once she settled down, we rolled the windows up and put on the AC, and she woke up and it was a lot colder. It was really hot today. It was like 92. So it got a lot colder. So then I put her little baby blanket on top of her, and then she was able to go back to sleep. So just a couple of other tricks. Make sure they're not warm or cold. Maybe try the window. See if car sickness is something that might be affecting them. But in general, what I typically do when she naps in the car is I'll play worship instrumental music that I do here as well, because we have white noise, so it kind of replicates white noise. But even at our house, if she's struggling, I'll put on worship instrumental and I'll sing to her sometimes, or just play the music depending on what she needs in that moment. And then she really likes head massages. I kind of just go like this on her head until she falls asleep, and then for about 5 minutes after she's asleep to make sure she's really asleep, and I just go shh as I'm doing that, and that typically does the trick. So that's kind of what we do for sleep. That is everything that happened on this trip, what it really looked like for us to travel with a 13-month-old to the Keys and to Naples, Florida. Of course, every baby's different, and at every age it's gonna look different, and depending on the trip too. Like we went to Vermont a couple of weeks ago and it looked completely different than this trip. So this is just to give you an idea, give you some tricks, give you an idea of maybe what to expect in the car or with schedules or naps or anything like that. So I hope it was helpful. My daughter is 13 months old, but if you have a newborn, I did do a video on how to travel with a baby, and that was specific to newborns. She was 3 months old at the time. We also flew during that trip, so I talk a lot about what to pack, what to do on the plane, and those types of things. So if you think that might be helpful, definitely check that out. But otherwise, if you like this, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!